Stress, worry, and anxiety. How and why do we create them? And how do we eliminate them? That's what I'll be talking about today. If you're interested, please stick around. Our minds seem to always be in survival mode. And what that means to me is that we're always thinking about preparing for things that happen to pop into our heads. And in most situations, at least for me, they're negative. They're negative because we're always in a thought process of lacking and how do we prepare? Because, well, that's what you're doing. You're surviving. When you're surviving, you're preparing and you're planning in advance and you're making sure you have the resources to cover whatever it is you need to plan for. And it doesn't matter what the topic is. Generally speaking, we're always in survival mode and we're always thinking negative thoughts because in a lot of cases, we don't have what it takes to prepare. I can account for that because just recently I had a very large vet bill and I wasn't prepared for that. Well, I was partially prepared, but not for quite the amount that it happened to be. Everything's fine, but the whole thing is that it doesn't matter what we're thinking about. That survival mode causes us to imagine things that cause our feelings to drop or to decline. And because of that declined feeling, we start worrying and getting all stressed out, and we start, our anxiety pops up and it starts kicking in. And that's only because we're thinking that we lack the resources to cover whatever it is that we're trying to prepare for. Those negative thoughts all the time, at least most of the time in a lot of people, are what cause negative people then. For me, negative people are those who are always in survival mode and they aren't able to get out of it ever. Now, don't get me wrong, this can be good people. I mean, with good intentions. I mean, we're not talking, criminals all the time. I'm talking about good people too, but they just have negative thoughts, unfortunately, and they just aren't able to think themselves out of negative situations and into something positive. I came to this belief very recently and is what inspired this video. I'm always working on self-improvement. I pretty much have been since, 40 years, however old, in my 20s, sure. But most recently, in the last 15, due to the movie The Secret and the Law of Attraction. I will link, I will put a link in the video description below to the movie The Secret. And just so you know, I am not sponsored by them and there is no affiliation to The Secret or the author of the movie, Rhonda Byrne, or any of the stuff that she produces, any of her products, because it's one of her products that also helped inspire this video. Okay, back to the part about self-improvement. I've always been trying to understand why I do what I do and who I am and why I believe what I believe. It's an ongoing process because what I believed 10 years ago, 5 years ago, even probably a year ago, has changed. Because of course you're learning, so your thought process changes and your mindset changes. So hopefully you're growing in the process. And I've learned a lot about myself. I'm going to say most of it good, but I have found parts of myself that I'm not really thrilled about. Of course, I'm not going to go into detail about that. I've just been always striving to understand what makes me me for the past 40 years, basically, I guess. Learning to create positive thoughts and changing your mindset is also an ongoing process and part of what I've learned about myself within the last 15 years as a result of the law of attraction. There are always going to be setbacks and your brain is always going to battle itself. I mean, even though I've been studying the law of attraction for, like I said, the past 15 years, I still have battles in my brain going back and forth about when the negative pops in versus overcoming it with positive thoughts. So it's kind of a constant thing, but once you start learning more about it, then you're more easily and readily able to change your mindset into something positive. And also, something that was given to me um, for a birthday is these cards, and they are through the secret that this is not sponsored, this is not a plug, this is not anything. These are things that I use in my personal everyday life. And one of the cards, I just randomly pull a card, and one of the cards I pulled today actually is responsible for this topic and helped me open up my mind to about, oh yeah, this is how I think about things. But what I want to read about on this card is stress, worry, and anxiety simply come from projecting your thoughts into the future and imagining something bad, which causes your feelings to plummet. And when you imagine something bad, you're creating what you don't want. Instead, when you're feeling worried, ask yourself, what do I want? And then imagine that instead. It makes perfect sense. So anytime you have negative thoughts into your head, you have to obviously catch that you're doing it, and you have to realize that. You just think to yourself, what do I want? Is that what you're thinking about right at that moment? Is that something you want? Because chances are it's going to be negative. Is that what you want? Of course not. You don't want negative. You want positive. So think positively. That's how you start changing your mindset. Just by asking yourself that one simple question: what do I want? One of the things that I have learned over the years and through a lot of research and studying is the power of your mind, and how changing your mindset and believing your thoughts is the key to creating your life, creating a good life. What I mean by that is, okay, in the movie, it teaches you that when you think positive thoughts, positive things will come into your life. And that is very true. That is the basis of it. But what they don't go into enough detail about is what goes into those positive thoughts and how you have to create them in order for it to make a difference. One of the things that I learned is that you can think positively, yes, but in order for something to come into reality, you actually have to believe deep inside. And I can say that, but it won't make sense until I try to get this point across to you. Okay, here's an example. I never buy lottery tickets. So one day I just had this thought pop into my head: you need to go buy a lottery ticket. It's like, why? But okay, my thoughts, you know, it popped into my head. I was learning that you just act on things that pop into your head. So I went to the first store that I could find and I bought a lottery ticket. I won $5, but the point of it is I actually won. And that was only because I believed I would actually win. I went in there because of that thought. It's like that thought came to me. It meant that I was going to win. So it's going to happen. I had no doubts in my head that I was not going to win. Even if you have the slightest inkling of a doubt, it's not going to work. You have to know it, just like you know your name, that you're going to win. And that's how I felt when that happened. I remember that to this day. And that was, probably close to 15 years ago. That's what you have. That's the power that you have to put behind it. You have to know it, that it's going to happen just like you know your name. Like there's no questions. There's no questions about it. And that's where the feeling deep down inside comes from. And that's just the simplest way that I can explain how it works. Other way that I could explain it is that you're on a natural high. You have a feeling of invincibility and kind of like being in love, that feeling of euphoria, and you just know, and there's like nothing can mess up your day. You're in such a good spirit, you're in such a great mood. When you're on that level, that is when you can manifest so many things. That's when you create. When you're feeling like that, if you ever feel like that, that's when you want to create your life, because you're on this the highest level. You're in such a great mood that nothing can deter you, nothing can mess you up, nothing can make you feel bad, no matter what. And do your best at that time to create your life, and amazing things will happen. Because once you start creating your life in that at that level, it will continually happen, and you're able to continually, and at least more often, get into that stage. Sometimes you'll have setbacks. There's no question about it. And of course, that's a negative thought right there. But it takes time, and you'll get the hang of it. Just give yourself time to do it. Our thoughts, but more importantly, our feelings, are what create our world. It takes time, and you have to have a great deal of patience. You just have to be consistent and aware of your thoughts. Once you're aware of your thoughts and you realize your thought process, and when you're having negative thoughts, that's when you're able to stop yourself, say, what do I want? And create new feelings, new thoughts that put you in the positive direction. Just so you know that this can't be an act, or you can't fake it. You know the saying, fake it till you make it. That doesn't cut it here. You have to actually have no doubts about how you feel. You have to be positive about how you feel. You have to be on that natural high, doing the things you love, doing positive things, being kind to others, doing all kinds of stuff like that. That's what's going to get you on that higher level. It's going to put you on that higher frequency, and it's going to be that natural high for you. It's like I said before, you have to know it. You have to know it's right, just like you know your name. No doubts. I'm going to create a series based on these cards. I'm going to pull one every video and use that then as the next topic for my next video. But okay, I'm going to pull the next card and read it off to you. Let's see. Oh, this is going to be a good one. That's it for this video. Watch for the next video in this series. Take care, and don't forget, sprinkle some sparkle. Bye.